does not think Joe Biden is a racist. And that was one of the first requirements if you wanted to be chosen.
In this campaign, we've also heard, and I'm going to now direct this at Vice President Biden, I do not believe you are a racist. And I agree with you when you commit yourself to the importance of finding common ground. But I also believe, and it's personal, and I was actually very hurtful to hear you talk about the reputation of two United States senators who built their reputation and career on the segregation of race in this country. And it was not only that, but you also worked with them since busing. And, you know, there was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate for public schools. And she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me. So I will tell you that on this subject, it cannot be an intellectual debate among Democrats. We have to take it seriously. We have to act swiftly. As Attorney General of California, I was very proud to put in place a requirement that all my special agents would wear body cameras and keep those cameras on.
Wow, that is certainly one of her best performances. I mean, when you look at performance, when you look at some of the greats on the left, and I'm talking about people like Alyssa Milano, Joy Behar, Madonna, she is there. Kamala Harris is there. Now, the funny thing is, she was the district attorney of San Francisco. She was really good friends with the mayor. You may have read that. And then she squeaked by to become the Attorney General of California. And some of the stuff she did, oh my gosh. Now, the news media is not going to bring that up. The news media is going to drive home the theme. Oh my gosh, she's historic. She's an attractive woman of color. And yes, she has more brains than Joe Biden. Of course she's more savvy than Joe Biden. Who isn't? By the way, today they're kicking off the announcement, the tour. I just got this confirmation in Delaware. They needed a state small enough, if Joe were to get lost, Kamala could find their way back, with or without a GPS. I don't know if Delaware's really small. I don't know if you're familiar with that. We're also going to hop around the country and get an update on what's happening. More criminals are being released. Fewer people are being arrested if you're involved in a protest or a riot. You should really be concerned about the criminals being released because our governor in Pennsylvania is considering doing it again. Now wait till you hear what's going on in PA. But first, let's jump over to New York City. Survey just came out today from the New York City Hospitality Alliance, and it details the latest data on the state of New York City's devastated hospitality industry, which we all know they were among the first and the most devastated because of the incompetence not only of Cuomo, but de Blasio. And it's a tragedy. The last time I was in the city was in January. It's a different place now. There's a survey of 500 owners and operators of restaurants, bars, nightlife establishments across the city. A growing number of businesses could not pay their rent last month. 83% of businesses could not pay their full rent last month. 37% of these New York City hospitality businesses could not pay any rent at all. And a few other statistics. And this is always fascinating because when you think of New York, you think well-organized, clean, warm, and friendly. 71% of landlords would not waive portions of rent due to COVID. I found this statistic interesting. Now, I know it was only 500 owners that they spoke with, but 71 would not waive portions. I completely understand putting your foot down because everybody has bills to pay, and landlords have some of the toughest jobs out there. 61% would not defer rent payments, and 90% of landlords would not formally renegotiate leases. This is why people are going to continue to flee from New York City. Let's jump over to the West Coast, Todd Herman's neck of the woods, who you heard yesterday on the Rush Limbaugh Show. You know, in both Seattle and New York City, the really cool thing, and this is how you want to get on The View, you want to be cool, you want to be hip, you want Don Lemon to talk about you for an entire segment, then you drop criminal cases against protesters. That's how you become a hero to the left. Well, yeah, he broke out the window of Saks Fifth Avenue and he blew up that police car and he did push that woman down the steps, but you know, he had a lot of problems that week. He had a headache. He was kind of edgy. You can't even imagine the pressure he's under. So we're going to dismiss the charge. Now they're doing it in Portland, Oregon. Like Portland, Oregon doesn't have enough problems, my heart goes out to the good people of Portland, Oregon. And my heart goes out to the former police chief of Seattle, a woman of color who was pretty much, if you look at the evolution of what they did to her through COVID and BLM, they pretty much ran her out of a job. And from what I understand, she was a pretty solid police officer and leader. Getting back to Portland, Oregon, hundreds of protesters will see their criminal cases dropped as the DA announces the plan to recognize the right to speak. What is so heartbreaking about this is it's the left. When you think about the left, think about how the Democrat Party, the social justice warriors, the woke people, and woke white people are the worst, are they not? Especially middle-aged woke white men. Anyway, think about how they've controlled our language. And they've censored us, and they've banned us. So look at the extremes, and think about this as we talk more about the upcoming election and what it means to you, your family, your kids, your grandparents, your family members in nursing homes around the country. But when you think about how the assault on free speech is breaking this country down, because some people are allowed to debate and others are not. Some people are allowed to throw bricks and burn things and break things and be vulgar pigs and push people downstairs, and others are not. So it's one extreme or the other. You and I, as conservatives, we have an entire vocabulary that we've been banned from. We're not allowed to say this. Watch out, don't say all lives matter. You could get banned. You could get arrested. Meanwhile, the district attorneys in Seattle, New York City, Portland, Oregon, and several other cities we'll mention later in the show are saying, you know what, when it gets right down to it, this is free speech. So we have a real problem in this country when one party believes free speech is breaking, burning, destroying, and in some cases torturing someone, and then in the same breath, actual speech is being banned from social media, from the news networks. If you're a doctor and you have a successful practice and you disagree with Fauci, you get banned. But if you really hate cops and you want to break out the plate glass window of a store in Portland, there's a good chance your case is going to be dropped. I'm Ken Matthews, and we're going to talk about this and take your calls coming up on the Rush Limbaugh Show next.
When you read the Limbaugh letter, you're equipped to combat liberal madness because El Rush Bro supplies you with an arsenal of facts. Subscribe to the print edition of the Limbaugh letter and you'll get free Rush's Day